What is up, guys? Coop here, and today we're going to be doing a special video. I like to call this video more of a redo. It's a version 2.0 to some of my previous builds. So I was looking back at some of my old Divinity Original Sin builds, and I happened to come across my most popular one, building of a Deathknight. And it has right now about 264 likes and 74 dislikes. And I sat there and wondered, and I was like, why is there so many dislikes? But this is one of my first build videos I ever did, and this is back before I really understood a lot of the game. But I looked back on this video and I was like, ay caramba, it is so different, like I wanted to fix everything about it. So I decided, why not start a new series? Why not start a series where I look at some of my older builds, the ones that I know are not that good, and we fix them. So this is the new Deathknight build, alright? So we're still going to be going with the undead dwarf. Now, originally what we did was we tried to pick rain and contamination with the fortify skill. And it was kind of just all over the place. And I understood what I was going for, but it was not what I needed to do. You see, what we're going to be doing is something so much better. So what we're going to be doing instead is we can keep the geo and we can keep the hydro, okay? I understood why I did that. So we can do that. But what we're going to do instead is Armor of Frost. Now, Armor of Frost, the reason I'm picking this is so that we have a way of getting magical armor. So now with this magical armor, we are able to do that. Now we'll get Fortify, making us into a really tanky individual. Then after that, of course, we will get Contamination to allow us to be able to spread poisons. Now, I understood why I did the rain. It was a very nice way of doing it. But in general, these three skills would have done so much better. I would have had protections against multiple different things, and at this point, I wouldn't have to really care too much about sort of fortifying. Now, what's really cool about doing it this way is I have all these unique skills to kind of figure out what sort of build I want to do here. So I could be a fortified badass with a shield and sword and use that sort of fortifying ability to keep myself nice and shielded. And that is one way you could do it. Or you can take this fortifying and make yourself a two-handed person. So depending on how you go about doing that, depends on how your stats are going to go. So in this scenario, if I was going to go with two-hand, I would put it probably all in that. If I was going to be doing Constitution in that, I'd be doing that. Or I'd be doing that. Basically, it depends on really what you're going for. Specifically, though, I think I would probably go with the two-hand. Maybe a thing in memory. Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. As for this, though, you could choose really whatever you want. I personally, you could do Leech. I think Leech is not a bad one. Because what you're going to be picking up is you're going to be picking up Blood Rain. Blood Rain you can get around Judge Orvand. Instead of fighting him, you just go over to the other room and you check inside the desk and there will be a book for Blood Rain. I believe that's where it's at. Don't quote me on that. But what you can do is you put a point into Necromancy and a point into Hydro, which is why we got Hydro now. So that we can do the Blood Rain and then use that Contamination spell, and then you can counter that with the Leech. So, you could still go with Hydra, or you could go with Necro. So, basically the sort of ice stuff was not that important. We could actually do Mosquito Swarm and Bloodsucker in the meantime. So it gives you an alternative way of healing. We could do raise Bloated Corpse, have the corpse kind of run in there, explode, and then turn that into a giant sludge pile for us to stand on. That's a different way of doing it. Actually, I kind of like that. I think that's actually a better way of doing it, because we can summon a pet. He can just run out there and he can explode where we want it tactically, and then on top of it we can run into that battle there and then also be fortified. So that's one way to do it. We could do it that way, or we could do it the armored way. And if I was to choose talents, I think Opportunist is a pretty good one. Another one that I would personally choose if I was back here, you could do Lone Wolf again. I always like Lone Wolf. I've always been a sucker for that. Executioner is always a good one as well. Combat Kid is a decent one. But I think Opportunist is still a pretty solid one. Now, what is nice about this is we do have now that point in Necromancy. You just gotta put 1 point in Hydro sometime throughout the game, which will be great. Then you can use that with the blood, with the contamination to add more ways of healing yourself when you're an undead creature. So you have all those different ways of that, and then you can pick up Armor of Frost along the way. So, basically, in general though, from the build I had here, the issue was I did Rain, and Rain is technically a good spell, but it was kind of wasting Hydro's potential, and it was kind of like, why have a point in Hydro with Rain when you're going to be getting Blood Rain later on? So it didn't really quite make sense. So doing it this way, at least we'll be able to make our blood where we want it. We'll be able to put that in there, and we can get the leech ability, or we can get it through our talents as well. So just an alternative way of doing it. There's different ways of healing, different ways of putting your stuff on the ground there. But what is nice about that is we would get the necromancy, so we would get a little bit of healing, and we would get the armor from that, and then we would use Hydro to give us a little bit more of the magical armor restoration. So that would be really nice. So that's basically how I would fix the build. I hope you guys do enjoy this. This is going to be a short video though. This is just like a video I wanted to do because it's a way for you to do your build. Now if you were to kind of expand, let's say you get Blood Rain, where do you go from there? Well, I would specifically start putting all of your points into pretty much your weapon type. If you're going to be doing shield and sword, start doing some warfare, start focusing on like different tactical advantages and figuring out what sort of person you're going to be. Because that's the thing with the Deathknight that was really nice, is you had, you know, that huge way of healing, especially for your undead party members. Now you got to figure out what exactly your role is. Going to be a two-handed warrior, start putting your points into two-handed necromancy, so that way you can heal yourself more. Just imagine it this: if you start putting a point into necromancy and then a point into two-handed, point into necromancy, two-hand, and then you put 2 points into two-hand and then a point into necromancy, you're going to be healing ridiculous amount of life, and you're also going to be you're going to be able to keep yourself alive because you're going to have your poison puddles, and you're also going to be doing high damage. Now, say you go the more tanky route, well, obviously put a point into warfare so you're able to taunt stuff, but you can use the Hydro to keep your magical armor up, and also you can use Geo to keep your physical armor up, and Necromancy as well to keep yourself up. All these different things, all three of these trees would definitely help you out. So, I think when I did the Deathknight build, it was a nice build, but I could have definitely done a lot better, especially now understanding the game to the full extent that I do now. I think that in general this build would be a lot better. Definitely a lot better. And of course, I would not put a point into bartering. I would actually put it into thievery because you're an undead based character and you can just nicely lockpick. Now, as for the races, I mean, undead is obviously still the way to go. Dwarf is nice because of the sturdy, because you do get 10% more vitality and everything. But another one that is really good is the Corpse Eater with the sort of elf-based character. Now, the only reason I say Corpse Eater is because you can heal really well with a lot of different stuff. This is nice because it gives you your 5% bonus. The Lizard is very nice because you get more resistance, meaning more healing technically from your poison stuff. But I still think that honestly the best one by far is Feign, just because of Time Warp. Time Warp is such a good ability. It just does so many different things, and he just plays the Knight role really well because he gets that initiative and that crit, and on top of it gets Time Warp. What more could you possibly need? So I would definitely suggest doing that, especially if you're going to be doing your build characters. But anyways, I know this is a kind of a short rambling video, but I wanted to especially fix that build and show you guys an alternative way of doing that build. And just in general, clearing the air and showing you guys how much I've learned from back when I first started and barely knew what I was talking about to now where I definitely know the game inside and out. Anyways, I thank you guys for watching. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.